slow again, and once again the man on his right hand side, Klaus Klaverbach, with Christian Partner in the chair, gets a streaker. And has he made it through, or is Webbo coming back down his left side? No, he's not. Once again, the number 2 outfit. No, it's not. That Ian Guy and Andy Peach, where do they get the speed from on the second of the live on screen machines? Because they've got themselves to the front. So Englishmen Ian Guy and Andy Peach are leading on the live on screen Suzuki. Second place, Klaus Klaverbach, Christian Partner, the team Claffey Racing. Also the speed from the second of the live on screen machines, because they've got themselves to the front. So Englishmen Ian Guy and Andy Peach are leading on the live on screen Suzuki. Second place, Klaus Klaverbach, Christian Partner, the team Claffey Racing machine. Also, of course, a Suzuki. And Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead, defending world champions, in third place. And this time streaming off down and already like Stuart Muldoon on the Grand Prix. On that Steinhausen Racing Suzuki. Oh, Cycle, look at him powering out of that tight left-hander. Jorgi Steinhausen learned so much from being Stevie Webster's teammate during the last 2 years, and has progressed so rapidly. And he's got Englishman Andy Hetherington in the chair this year, and it looks like he's on it. His father, of course, Rolf Steinhausen, was a world champion back in the 70s, so he also had a bit to learn from him as well. Through Del Rogier, first 3. Ian Guy it's got Stevie Abbott for company. Abbott, 46 years old now, with Jamie Biggs in the chair on the Grebensek Racing Yamaha. Incidentally, it's the engine they've got in is a 1040cc. It's an X-Up Thunder Race Yamaha engine, stroked out to 1040, and they're threatening to have it out to 1080 by the time they get to Donington Park in 2 weeks. They are lying in 5th place, pressing the Ian Guy Andy Peach combo. Steinhausen 4th, Abbott 5th, Hautzenberger back to 6th place, Van Giel 7th, Cartiala, the amazing Finnish wildcards with their home-built chassis. The Cartiala brothers are in 8th place, ahead of Tom Hanks and Phil Biggs, with Rob Cameron in 10th place. These are the leaders, and it's the old war being waged once again between Klaffenbach and Webster. Christian Partner, something of a veteran, as the Austrian has partnered several drivers in his career. He's taken over from Adolf Hani because the wonderful Swiss veteran had to move aside because one of the new sponsors of the team demanded an all-Austrian squad. Now, here comes, oh, look at the speed, and he just cuts back in front. Webster cuts back ruthlessly across the bows of Klaffenbach as they head down the straight and nabs his line into the chicane. The Van Giels brothers in 6th place, 7th, Hautzenberger and Adolf Hani. But Steve Webster, Paul Woodhead in the chair, and now into the lead, and it's going to be difficult for any of these guys to pin him back. Jörg Steinhausen might be the man. And that was number 9. Was that the Tom Hanks and Phil Biggs machine slowing down? Oh, what a shame of it was. The 3 times former Formula 2 British champion just might be out of it. Stevie Abbott isn't. He's got past Ian Guy, so he's marched through into 7th place, but he's got a bit of a gap now. Too big a gap to get any toll from these 3. Well, I should think if 3 or 4 World Superbike riders in one alongside the other can seem like the slipstream of a truck, these guys must be able to create quite a slipstream. In fact, Steve Webster says that you can get the slipstream from about 100 yards back with these outfits. I challenge you to have a go in a sidecar. You know Steve Webster from your Grand Prix days alongside him in his sidecar, his earlier sidecar days. I'm sure he'd like to take you out for a few laps, Neil.
Yeah, I go back quite a long way with Steve, and there's been numerous offers over the years, but I've never actually been in the situation with my leathers and helmets and been muscled into the sidecar. If the opportunity arose, then I may well have a go. I think I need to now. If I'm going to be doing a little bit of commentating, then I maybe need to have a first-hand experience. It was interesting to see there that Klaffenbach can fight back. I thought maybe Steve had superior engine, a bit more superior speed, and just pulled out a slipstream and passed them, and he might just dig in and put a gap between them. But they're all really evenly matched, and it's the win and certainly the rostrum is up for grabs for any of these three guys.
York Steinhausen gets absolutely alongside Webber as they go past us. Is he going to hold on to it? Oh, who's going to give way? Steinhausen has to. That number 2 outfit of Klaffenbach, incidentally, his engine tuner, Erhard Hufenhaus, who comes from down near Lake Constance, he's a former US drag tuner, for dragsters, not a man who dresses up in ladies' clothing, I hasten to add. And there's quite a few parts from dragster engines used in Klaffenbach's Suzuki engine. It certainly looks pretty effective, the way it was able to retaliate.
We've got 2 drag strips here, one out of Ascari down to Parabolica and one out of Parabolica.
So that engine should be well suited.
So that is the answer for Monza.
Steve Abbott, 4.7 seconds behind the leader. I don't know whether he'll be able to claw that back, whether that Thunder Ace Yamaha engine is up to it, but it'll be interesting to see whether the old hooligan from Riddings in Derbyshire can actually pull them back. Jamie Biggs, of course, one of 4 sidecar racing brothers, and their uncle Vince Biggs were a leading national contender for many years. At the front, Klaffenbach. Christian Parzer keeps his head down, and then their heads bob up as they brake and get the weight over. That man Paul Woodhead, who injured his knee without actually falling out of the chair or anything in Australia, must have been so thankful that race was called off, because he went to hospital, had surgery to the injured knee, and although he could scarcely move around in the chair, he was keen to race in Australia in the rain. Look at that, York Steinhausen, and they certainly do get some slipstream effect, don't they? So York Steinhausen and Andy Hetherington storm through into second place ahead of Steve Webster and Paul Woodhead. Steinhausen, incidentally, was in 3rd place at Valencia. We haven't got Chris Founds and Peter Founds, the guys from the Wirral, here today, because they in Australia. Chris has some bad ligament damage to his leg, which is he's hoping to be back in Donington Park, and his brother Peter broke his arm. So brave boys indeed if they're back in Donington in 2 weeks. Now it looks to me as if those live on screen racing boys are a wee bit outpaced here, Neil. Steve Webster's lost the toe. I don't know whether he's in trouble.
Well, I don't think he's in trouble. I really thought that he had the speed, because Klaus Klaffenbach and Steve were swapping positions on the first lap due to slipstreaming. I think Steve got a little bit unsettled when Jörg Steinhausen came past at the end of the first lap into the chicane, and he lost the toe to Klaffenbach, but I thought they'd fight right back. But it appears that Steinhausen seems to have been able to break the toe, and it looks like he is in trouble. He's lost a lot there in the first half of this lap.
And he's now got Steve Abbott and Jamie Biggs all over him, so the Eastern Airways machine...
He's got a problem, I'm sure he's got a problem.
So the Suzuki 123 looks as if it's under threat now from that Yamaha engine outfit. Here comes Stevie Abbott. Comes alongside, and that looks all too easy, doesn't it? And Paul Woodhead looks slightly despondently over his shoulder, which indicates to me that there's definitely a problem for the World Champions outfit.
He looks like he's on 3.5 cylinders there. There's just no way that Steve Abbott would close in and unpass him and pull away like that. And
he can't even get into his slipstream, so now we'll be getting worried about whoever the next guy, and Ian Guy should be the next guy coming up, rather appropriately. His teammate, but is his teammate there? Have we lost Ian Guy? Is that the Van Giels outfit in the background? I think that's the number 8 outfit. I think that's the number 8 outfit of Martin and Tony Van Giels, the Maton Racing Yamaha, the Maton Racing Suzuki from the Netherlands. I think maybe might be the guys who are showing up to threaten him next. And look at these two. York Steinhausen really is beginning to prove that his apprenticeship is over. From being novice to being full-on World Championship contender, he's completed the turnaround.
Steinhausen just put the fastest lap in on his own in the last lap, 1:55.66. And up until then, Klaffenbach was putting fastest laps in at the front, so Steinhausen now in his slipstream and closing the gap, and looks like he'll be able to draft him and get straight past.
So the leaders at the moment, Klaffenbach and Steinhausen, an old German affair.
And any slipstream.
Apologies to Andy Hetherington, because I just referred to an all-German affair at the front. Of course, there are 2 Austrians leading a German with a British passenger. Andy Hetherington is welcome to knock my block off next time he sees me. At the moment, these 2 guys then are the ones in contention. Stevie Abbott and Jamie Biggs, certainly not in contention for the win, but if they can just stay cosy in 3rd place, remember they were 4th and got 13 points in Valencia, then they could be in for a good championship, because definitely the Woodhead Webster Brigade not going to be in contention from this point on. So the Eurobet.com outfit in 2nd place. Here is the Gremensek Racing team. Stevie Abbott proving that... oh, look, here goes Steinhausen up the inside. Is he going to fit in there? And the brave Christian Partzer almost tries to headbutt him on the entrance to the Parabolica. And it works. It works. Partzer threatened them and made York Steinhausen submit, and Steinhausen wasn't able to make the pass, and he's not even bothering with the slipstream. He's just trying to get alongside him as soon as they come out, and has he got the superior power to do it? Side by side, absolutely, as they go past us and almost colliding as they try and outbrake on one another into the turn. Klaffenbach, brave man, manages to pull one over Steinhausen, and I thought he'd lost it at that point. Woof, and already number 26, Sebastian Delanoy and Jerome Vanier of France on their Team San Seb 72 Suzuki, getting smartly out of the way of this one.
Steve Webster's last lap there was 12 seconds off the fastest lap, so he's obviously in deep trouble.
And I think he's going to have Hautzenberger for company very, very shortly. The Van Giels brothers have gone past him into 4th place. Van Giels didn't score in the opener, so they'll welcome some points. And that was close, wasn't it? Oh,
that was contact.
That was contact. And these guys, of course, they had a ruthless coming together on the last lap when Jorgi Steinhausen dealt brutally with Klaus Klaffenbach for the win at Assen in the Netherlands last year. So there's really no love lost between them. They almost came to blows, in fact, in the pit lane. So after that race. So this is dramatic stuff going on here, and really this is a confrontation in true gladiatorial sidecar fashion. We've still got small sponsorship from OKM there on this new silver machine of Klaus Klaffenbach's. I hope that's enough to attract the fabulous Gina, his porn star lady, when we get into one of the German rounds, to appear on the grid, because she truly is a star of the sidecar universe. Now look at that, he's pulled right away at that point with almost startling ease as they go into the first Les Mold. Does that mean that York Steinhausen got a problem? 6 out of 16 laps.
It certainly looked like he slowed a little bit, either maybe missed the gear, maybe missed 5th to 6th gear or something. It seemed to slow towards the end of the straight into Parabolica.
And let's look at the times. 266 kilometers per hour for Klaffenbach, 266 for Steinhausen, 262 for Abbott. He's just flashed past us now. He did a 158.3, Steinhausen a 158, Klaffenbach a 156.9. Van Giels doing a 2-minute lap time there in 4th place, 262 kilometers per hour. They're very evenly matched. And where's Webster? We're looking to see if Webster's going to hove into view. The 40-year-old Yorkshireman. Now he hasn't done, because the next people past, Hautzenberger's gone through. Cartiala is about to go through. Cartiala now up to 6th place. What a brilliant wildcard ride. And Leichty's just gone through as well. Kurt Leichty and Daniel Locker on the only Kawasaki engine machine in the race. And I think we've lost Steve Webster on that lap. This is Stevie Abbott. He's in 3rd place. So something of a war of attrition in the late afternoon heat here at Monza, because it still is very, very warm indeed. So now a battle of 2 at the front where Steve Webster was involved. Something's gone wrong with that Suzuki. And one of the live on screen racing machines is out. Klaffenbach, Partzer. York Steinhausen with Hetherington. And Stevie Abbott, well, he's still holding station there, but he's about 10 seconds behind the leader, and that's an awfully huge gap to try and make up. I've got a feeling he's doing well, really, on a giving away something like 1,060 cc's to these guys.
I'd say he is. I mean, it's not a bad position if he can finish in the rostrum here and finish in 3rd place. He finished 4th in Valencia, so he's got some good Oh, he's got a good points tally going, and you need to finish. He's obviously out of contention for the win here, but a rostering position would be satisfactory just to build up these points.
And of course, the next stop is Donington Park, where he scored his first ever win a couple of years ago. Here's number 5, and this is Hautzenberger with Adolf Harney in the chair. They are now in 5th place. And meanwhile at the front, well, York Steinhausen might have been just, what's the word one uses when someone's just sort of fluffing around a bit and trying to pull the wool over our eyes. Perhaps he was just sort of being a bit cagey, and suddenly he's back on the case again.
You can
and
see,
looking for a way
yeah,
past.
you can see both of these guys want to win. So I mean, Steve Abbott is in a very safe 3rd position, but it could turn into a bit of a picking up the pieces job. Both of these,
picking up the pieces job for Steve Abbott, that would be good.
Yeah, Klaffenbach and Steinhausen both want to win. They're going to be determined to win, and could come down to the last lap. So Steve Abbott might just end up in a good position.
Stevie Abbott, 46 years old, 32-year-old Jamie Biggs in the chair. Jamie Biggs from Sorgel outside Chester. They are the guys in 3rd place. In 4th place, the number 8 outfit of Van Giels. Van Giels guys from the Netherlands. They're looking pretty smooth. And at the front, both looking smooth, but both, I suspect, pretty much on the limit. The last lap, Klaffenbach did a 1:56.5. Steinhausen 1:56.0, which is why he's made up that deficit that had opened up. But once again, Claffey's just slightly opened it out. So the Klaffenbach racing outfit, I just wonder if he's got a little bit in reserve all the time. We've had 8 laps out of 16, so half distance, and we're just approaching the end of lap 9. Across the line there, 1:56.3 for Klaffenbach, 1:56.2 for Steinhausen. So it is close, and once again Steinhausen closing right up, the draft pulling him 4 kilometers per hour quicker down the straight. Incidentally, Steinhausen, who calls Webster Mr. Superpole, is using a 5-speed gearbox in that Suzuki engined outfit because he's had problems with the 6-speeder that most of them use. And his teammate, Thomas Hemmerling, had a huge practice accident just before where we're showing them here, when he rolled twice at 240 kilometers per hour, coming up towards that second Della Rogia chicane. And they've managed to rebuild the bike for the race, and the passenger's got a damaged finger. The driver hurt his shoulder, but they're still out there riding, and they're in 10th place, remarkably.
It looks like both the live on-screen bikes are out now. Both Ian Guy and Steve Webster haven't come past in the last few laps. Not Ian Guy, I hasten to add, but the drivers have said that you can't really run over the curbs here because they're too steep. You've got to drive around them. And the fastest flat-out speeds down the straight recorded here have been 170 miles per hour. That's over 280 kilometers per hour by Klaffenbach and Webbo, and they are the fastest top speeds ever reached by sidecars. Now we're approaching another of the wildcards, Thomas Reuter and Sven Langscheidel in the RU Motorrad Shop LCR Suzuki. Those boys sensibly staying out wide, while the Suzukis at the pointed end go about their business. 11 of the outfits in this race out of the original, I say the original load of 24, are from German-speaking teams, either Switzerland, Austria or Germany. Incidentally, Klaffenbach, number 2, with 6 laps to go, still hasn't paid the $5,000 fine that Bernd Steinhausen, the man who runs the Sidecar World Championship, fined him for using a mobile phone when he was being presented with the winner's trophy on the podium at the Valencia. Claffey says they're still negotiating, but he reckons that it got him so much exposure on live Austrian television that it was worth the $5,000 fine anyway, as it was being shown live at the time, and actually it was Austrian TV who were ringing him, so perhaps they were to blame. They can pay the bill then.
Live interview on the podium whilst the Austrian national anthem was booming out. So these guys putting up a great show at the front. Behind them, Stevie Abbott now back to 14.2 seconds. Now, interestingly, Abbott went out with a very soft front tyre. The Yokohama technicians said that it was a risky thing to do, and they didn't really want him to do it, but he obviously thought that he could last the distance with that, and it would give him better front end grip and stability under braking from the high speeds to the slower corners here at Monza. Last year at Monza, Steve Webster won this race from Klaffenbach, with Stevie Abbott in third place. And the sadly disappeared Marcus Schlosser in fourth, ahead of Van Giels. So Van Giels, who's heading for fourth place, improving on last year's result here. The fastest lap that he's done yet, incidentally, on the last lap, Stevie Abbott, 157.5. But these guys are lapping about a second quicker, 156 sixes and fours. Across the line now, and it's beginning to look like Klaus Klaffenbach is escaping. 156.8 against a 158.4 for Steinhausen. So Steinhausen now 1.9 seconds adrift. At least he was when they went across the line. Oh, and what's going on here? This is number 52 setting a light. I think someone should tell him. And that's Tiro Kartiala and Timo Kartiala, the young Finnish brothers in their early 20s, racing the Suzuki-engined Team Kartiala wild cards. They've got their own home-built chassis as well. What a shame. I hope they managed to survive, because they are running in sixth place, or they were. Van Giels crosses the line now. He's in fourth place. The next man up should be Hautzenberg, and then we'll be looking out for Kartiala and his Flames. Stevie Abbott with that soft front tyre still doing the job for him. About to get past Veltjens, number 53, another of the wild cars. Oh no, Andy Hetherington spilled out. Oh, how did he manage that?
It's not good losing your passenger.
Oh, Steinhausen?
No.
Oh, does he know? Does he know? When will he know? Oh, he must know now.
He knows now.
He knows now that he's got an empty bus on his left-hand side. Oh, I bet he'll be... Where's he gone? He was there a minute ago. What a wonderful moment, but not for Andy Hetherington.
No, I mean, it is amusing, but thankfully Andy's okay, but that's not funny. That is the disaster.
And I think Jorgi Steinhausen will give him a piece of his mind when he gets back. Wow. They're trying to get him off the track, and he say, I want to get my passenger back. Tell him to run this way. Oh, Steinhausen's furious, because he was obviously headed for a certain second place there. He'd finished third in Valencia, and with Steve Webster out, how on earth did he lose his grip there? But thankfully he's managed. Don't like that at all, the speed he was going, but he seems to have managed to roll reasonably okay.
The Leathers did a good job there.
They did.
There were a few hot spots, but...
So Steve, what were you saying about Stevie Abbott? Just hold station there, anything could happen, and he could yet have a good position. And this was the moment at which Jörg Steinhausen
knew there was something wrong.
He just didn't realise what. And suddenly he had a sinking ship with that Eurobet.com Suzuki, and he bumps over, and then
he still hasn't looked. He knows there's something wrong, but he still hasn't. He still hasn't looked to see if his passenger's there.
And now look at this, number 20. That's Morrissey, number 20. Dan Morrissey with Mark Cox in the chair, the second of the Clark Grand Prix Excalibur racing machines, coming under fire from Klaffenbach, who of course doesn't really have to do anything else other than back off slightly, and he should be all right. That's a battle that Morrissey's having, incidentally, with one of the other wild cards, Stuart Hall and Nat Wood, on the Hallwood Motorsport Suzuki, and they are battling for 12th and 13th places as they get lapped by this man Klaus Klaffenbach.
If Steve Abbott finishes in this position, he's puts him second in the World Championships, which is very useful.
The yellow flag's still out, just in case, up ahead. Stevie Abbott, James Biggs.
That must be every passenger's nightmare, missing a grip and not quite making it and slipping out the back. It's just horrendous.
Because it's not the sort of thing you want to do to please your sidecar driver, nor to get the result that he was hoping for, and doubtless you were as well. Here's Van Giels. Martin and Tony Van Giels, the Maton Racing Suzuki, And they, of course, are up into third place. So having had a good result here a year ago, they're going to go several places better.
It was interesting that Jörg Steinhausen's first reaction was that he was fuming that he had actually lost his passenger. My first emotion would have been to make sure my passenger was okay, but I suppose in the heat of the moment when the adrenaline's pumping and you're looking like a win or a second place, then anything is upsetting.
And the sad news that I forgot to mention to you, and though it was probably inevitable, was that those gallant Finnish Kartiala brothers have gone missing after their outfit set alight. I should think that they needed to get stopped and get the flames put out before they did any undue damage. So amidst all the excitement, I've realised that they are now actually, well, they're one lap down. Perhaps they're still going down round. Perhaps they've managed to stop the thing igniting and they're still on their way round. Stevie Abbott now, he's coming up towards Dan Morrissey to lap him.
You know, in the last lap, Steve Abbott got 4 seconds closer to Klaus Klaffenbach. He closed the gap from 19 seconds to 15.5 seconds. I'm sure Klaffenbach's well in control and knows he just has to cruise round and get to the finish to stand on top of the rostrum.
Andy Hetherington looks all right. He's in one piece. Oh. He's probably just not looking forward to the huge Germanic dressing down he's going to get when he gets back to the pit garage.
I'm sure he'll be relieved that he is in one piece and maybe a little bit hot here and there, but
and a little bit bruised.
Okay, yeah.
Likely and Lacker have gone past us in 5th place, but now it's a fairly lonesome ride. The main thing is that probably the main concern is hoping that your outfit's going to last once you've got a lead like this. Dan Morrissey and Mark Cox on the surviving Clark Grand Prix machine. They've lost out on their battle with the wildcard. Stuart Hall and Nat Wood on the Hallwood Motorsport Suzuki, putting up a good ride. So they've broken through into 10th place, and they'll be pretty impressed with that. So number 39, Stuart Hall, who manufactures awnings for a living, the man who rolled at Misano in 1999 and caused the race to be red flagged. Number 39, there he is. He and the gloriously named Nat Wood putting up a good show then. They're in 10th place.
Steve Abbott, another second closer, but there's not enough laps. A second a lap. He'd need a lot more laps to.
My suspicion is that I'm hoping that Claffey's just had the sense to back off a bit, because he doesn't really need to. And one of the sponsors that I've just noticed on this number 7 outfit of Stevie Abbott is indeed Vincent Biggs, dear old Vince Biggs, silver-haired former sidecar star.
I'd say Klaffenbach's definitely backed off because it's really hard on engines here at Monza. They run at real high revs for a long time. It's 3 long straights, 3 5th, 6th gear straights, 160, 170 mile an hour on these sidecars. So it would make sense to make sure he gets to the end.
Hartzenberger's just gone across the line in 4th place behind Van Giels. And so Adolf Harney looking for a reasonable result here with his new driver.
Welcome to the new treasures of Egypt. Luxury resorts, warm golden beaches, and the crystal clear waters of the Red Sea.
Make sure you get.
Klaus Klaffenbach, his old driver, is the man heading for victory though, and it looks like a pretty clear-cut affair. Steve Abbott, the man in 2nd place, an Isle of Man TT winner back in 1984, the year he won the British Championship. 10 years later, he was British champion once again, and also British champion the following year in 1995, 5th in the Sidecar World Championship in 1998. And eventually, a couple of years ago, winning at Donington Park after over 130 Sidecar World Championship races, he finally achieved victory. So I'm hoping that he'll be looking forward to next weekend. In 2 weeks' time, one man who will be is Klaus Klaffenbach, because he won at Donington Park a year ago and then was subsequently disqualified for some mysterious fuel offence, which Adolf Harney couldn't understand at all, because they'd always got their fuel supplied by the same people in Austria. It looks like Yokohama's wish for Steve Abbott not to go out with an extremely soft front tyre hasn't so far borne fruit, their apprehension, because Steve Abbott's still out there, 14 seconds down on the leader, but still lapping almost identically. These guys have done a 1:59.6, Stevie's just done a 1:59.4. So they're both keeping it pretty steady, but reasonably quick. Van Giels, 2 minutes and 2 seconds, he's gone past in third place. Houtzenberger, Leichty, Rocha, number 22. Haven't mentioned Mike Rocha and Ewan Newbert on the RSC Rocha Sidecar Team Suzuki. They are in 6th place, and they're ahead of number 17, Peter Schroeder and Uwe Waffler on the Schroeder Racing Suzuki. Amazingly, Hemmerling is in 9th place for feeling a bit second-hand after that unloading hugely in qualifying, coming out of the Curva Grande at 150 miles an hour. How on earth they got that thing rebuilt and got themselves to feel like racing it again, I just don't know. And at the moment we've got, I think, we've got 14 outfits left on the track, with Delanoy, number 26, the man who's been lapped twice, in 14th place, and Steinhausen would have been 15th if he was still going, but of course he's not, because he was the guy on the Eurobet.com machine that was battling with this man, Klaus Klaffenbach. And was that the finish? That was. I do beg your pardon. I thought the man with the checkered flag had wandered out by accident. And 2nd place for Stevie Abbott. A win then for Klaus Klaffenbach. 2nd place, Stevie Abbott. So Christian Parzer takes his 2nd victory with his new partner for 2001. And in 3rd place will be the Dutch brothers Martin and Tony Van Giels on the Maton Racing Suzuki.
Klaffenbach really slowed it down the last lap. He was 6 seconds a lap slower in the last lap, just to make sure he got it home, which makes sense.
And a clap on the back from one brother to another as they cross the finishing line. They've got 3rd place, and I should think that that's one of the best results that the Van Giels have ever had. Certainly they never came anywhere near it. They got a 4th place on home soil in Assen last year. And number 5, Kurt Leichty and Daniel Locher, the Swiss pairing on the deceptively orange Kawasaki. They come home. Now, beg your pardon, number 5 is Houtzenberger. Sorry, Leichty's next up. Houtzenberger, number 5, with Adolf Hani in the chair. And this is where they start picking up the dead wood. And that looks like one of the Clark Grand Prix boys, the Stuart Muldoon outfit, getting a shove from a helpful finisher.
Well done, Steve Abbott. And
Klaffenbach now has 50 points, leaving Webster and Woodhead stuck on 20, and Abbott and Biggs add 20 their 13 to take them on to 33, and Steinhausen unfortunately stuck on 16 when he looked like moving to 36, but you've got to finish to count. And the other guys, 5th in Valencia, the Hanks didn't finish, 6th in Valencia, Muldoon didn't finish, 7th in Valencia, Houtzenberger did. So Houtzenberger in 4th place is one man who does add a few points to his tally. Looking for the English finishers as we watch an entertaining celebration there by Tony Van Giels. Stevie Abbott, of course, the leading Brit, but Stuart Hall in 10th place, Dan Morrissey 11th. Good performances by them. Stevie Abbott, though, only lasted 9 laps out of the 16, and that ultimately wasn't nearly good enough. Klaus Klaffenbach, he is the man who's finished 2nd in the World Championship for the last 3 years. And wouldn't it be ironic if, having parted company with the splendid Swiss veteran Adolf Hani, he of the handlebar moustache, he finally did nail that elusive championship. Well, if ever a guy deserved it, I guess this is the man, but he won't be counting his chickens until they've well and truly hatched. Steve Webster, of course, has won 8 championships against the 7 of the great Swiss rider Rolf Bieland. The guys come into pit lane then. Rolf Bieland has had 82 wins, so far and away. That was between 1975 and 1997, the great Swiss rider. Far and away ahead of Steve Webster, Klaus Enders and Egbert Straw, and the great Frenchman Alain Michel. Incidentally, they're talking about Frenchmen. The French guy who had a huge crash during qualifying in the rain in Phillip Island has Jan Hansen. His passenger is out of danger. His passenger was quite badly injured. He's okay. And Jan Hansen's threatening to make a return, probably with a different passenger, I should imagine, at Donington Park. So applause for the guys who filled the podium places, and the Van Giels team will be well pleased with themselves. Just listen to that. Well done, boys. All they've got to do now is start winning. That's the next step. And there is a bearded Van Giels, looking very pleased with himself. Reminds me of somebody. Celebrating the fact that they've got onto the podium. Certainly they never got onto the podium last year, but they've made it this time. Klaffenbach and Partzer win it ahead of Abbott and Biggs, the Van Giels brothers, Hautzenberger and Adolf Hani in 4th place. Kurt Leichte and Daniel Locker, the Swiss pairing. Kurt Leichte, 38-year-old, with Daniel Locker alongside him, a mere youth of 35, beg your pardon. And there's the championship positions. Klaffenbach on 30, Abbott 33, Hautzenberger 22, Webster marooned on 20. Leichte moves past the Steinhausen pairing, and Van Giels draws level, and Peter Schroeder also on 16. But Klaffenbach, Abbott, Webster and Steinhausen are still really the big hitters in this championship. And Klaus Klaffenbach, the 32-year-old from Greiskirchen in Austria, made his racing debut in 1988, second in the Sidecar World Cup in 1998, 1999 and 2000, third in the Sidecar World Championship 1992, 1993 and 1997. Well, you could say that ultimately and eventually he deserves to win a World Championship, and this could just be the year. Stevie Abbott. Well done, young fella. He gets on to the second spot on the podium with Jamie Biggs. So the Derbyshire-Cheshire duo have got themselves up into a very fine position in the championship indeed. That's a good one. Abbott now second in the championship. Well, at least he's doing all the races this time around, which he didn't. He didn't do the early ones because of financial troubles to get himself to the furthest flung rounds in the first part of last year. So it's to be hoped he'll stick with it right through this season. And here we have Klaus Klaffenbach and Christian Partzer. Now, Klaus, where's the mobile phone, mate? Are we going to see you make a quick phone call to Austrian television and tell them all about it? So here at Monza, new World Championship contenders Klaus Klaffenbach and Christian Partzer. Hope you've enjoyed the sidecar action from Jack Bernicle and Neil Mackenzie. We'll see you at Donington Park.